understand the other games. They were a lot harder. And so I think these are going to be instructive. And so we're going to look at a couple of these positions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask some questions to the viewers, to Lula, et cetera, and we're going to talk through it, and we're going to come up with candidate moves and plans and try and see how we could approach this in the game. And we're going to do this for a couple positions of 2 different games. And it should be really fun and hard. And like for people who we're in like the lower sections, it can be instructive to see what we focus on. And for people who are in the higher sections, you can tell us how to think better than we did about these positions. So win-win. So in this position, I was white in this game, but in this position, black is in the chat and can out themselves if they want, but also doesn't have to. I won't out them. But in
You
this
can stay
position,
anonymous unless they
exactly.
say, yeah.
In this position, the real question here is black has this problem. When I highlight that square, does it show up on your analysis?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Black has a problem, which is this pawn is weak, and the question should just be as simple as let's find some candidate moves for how black should continue. And more than what you would play, I'm curious what moves you're picking between and why.
Is this a question for me?
Well, I would love for you to talk through what jumps out to you, and I'll be very
Okay.
kind to you. And then I'm looking at chat and I'll be less kind to them.
Okay. So I know that when you have an IQP, you want to keep pieces on the board, right?
Yes, and why?
Because, thank you so much for resubscribing, JJ. Because it's easier to defend it with more pieces.
Actually, that's a really instructive answer because it's so close to right, but it's also so wrong in a very important way. No, it's good. This is an important thing to know. So the reason you want pieces on the board, it is easier to defend it if you have more pieces, that's true. But if you're defending your isolated queen's pawn, you're already doing something wrong. The joy of the isolated queen's pawn is you take up more space. And because you take up more space, oh, thank you, dude bug. I'm gonna plug my lessons there then. Because you take up more space in the center, your pieces should have more room to attack. And if you're just nursing that weakness, your pieces are tied down and you can't really use the space you have with that extra pawn. So the reason why you want to keep pieces on is to keep any sort of attacking initiative on. So the first thing I'd be worried about here as black is there's already both knights are off the board, so we don't have as many minor pieces to attack as we would like. But yes, absolutely, we do want to avoid trades, but not for defense.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely had the complete wrong idea with we should try and, defend this pawn.
And that might be the best move. That might be the best move. But long term, we're thinking about using the space advantage to create counterplay, and we're trying to avoid the endgame.
Okay.
And already I see people are going really back and forth about d5, which would make sense as an idea of trying to take up more space. And I think one reason people are going back and forth here is they're seeing that the trade-off is this bishop gets a lot worse. And that's a really hard judgment to make. And that's why I think this position is so interesting, is we know with the isolated queen's pawn, we don't want to trade pieces, which gives us one reason to not love bishop takes bishop. But we also know that with the bishops on the board, we don't want to clog them up, which gives us one reason to not love this. And we also know we're not trying to defend the pawn nursing it, which is one reason why we might not love these moves. So this is a very common kind of position when you are playing against a little bit of initiative in a position that's not actually that bad for you, which is none of your choices are easy. There's no just straight up good move with no drawback, and you have to make a judgment. And that's what's fun here.
Fun. That's what's fun. Okay.
Well, I was white, so I just got to watch them make this decision.
I feel like as black, I would have a really hard time knowing what to do about this pawn. And I try to avoid getting an isolated queen's pawn like under any circumstances. Like I try not to do it. But sometimes it happens.
Oh, good. Cosmo God just suggested rook e6, and I'd like to see if folks can find like a tactical refutation to kick the rook off.
Tactical.
But it's the baby tactic.
Professor Ted, thank you so much for subscribing.
Favorite
thank
chatter
you.
checking in. Less than
sorry,
3.
what was the face? What happened?
Oh, I was just laughing at myself, calling it a baby
Okay.
tactic, and expecting you to be like, well, now I'll feel worse when I miss it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Star Kazar got it.
Bishop h3. Well, I looked at bishop h3 immediately, but that's not tactic.
I mean, the rook has to move and then the pawn falls. So it's, when I say baby tactic, I like.
That's not a tactic.
It's a tactic. Why is it not a tactic?
No.
Remove the defender.
Not a tactic.
Remove the defender.
Bishop h3, obviously.
I mean, I know it's obvious.
I didn't even count that as a tactic. That's why I didn't say it.
Okay, no, okay, that's fine. So I was trying, I don't know. I think that when I say tactics, I just really mean like something concrete. Like
I understand.
Like here's a good move. Like after rook e6, bishop d5 is a good positional move that blockades the pawn, and bishop h3 is a nice tactical move that removes the defender. I think that's perfect usage. But y'all invented the language, so not me. So
okay.
But anyways, okay. So would you play d5 or would you find something else? That is the question.
I guess if you play d5, my only worry is that like at some point, like white can either try and kick the bishop or just push here, you know? And like the queen, I guess we'd have to unpin the queen at some point as well. I don't like anything. I guess d5 makes sense. It's not like the light square bishop can go anywhere anyway because it's protecting b7 as well. So like what else would we play? You can't play, I guess you could play bishop e7, but then I guess the bishop on f6 is like maybe black's best piece, to be honest. So changing that piece to a defender is kind of yikesies.
Yeah.
So I guess
I really agree with that. Okay. So here's the next question. So for people who are saying bishop e7, I really like what Lula said, which is why are we moving our most active piece off of its active line? Especially because if the follow-up is still going to be d5, we'll have an opportunity to just like trade off with bishop c5 if we want. And then black will still be stuck with the d5 isolated pawn and the bad bishop. So I like the idea of making a threat, but we're making two of our active pieces actually a bit worse by playing bishop e7. So that's something where I would play this move if I see like a really strong tactical point, but if it's just to make a threat, these are like the only two pieces that I don't feel like need improving. So the only other question here, and I don't think I saw this in the chat either, is what if we played bishop takes first and then followed it up with d5? Does that change your feels at all?
My only thought is that hangs b7.
Okay.
Oh, but then I guess rook. No, because after rook b8, the black queen can take on a7 as well. Right?
But then?
I know that we can go rook takes b2, but... Oh, and then rook takes e2, I guess. Okay.
And with discovered attack on a1.
Okay, so we're not worried about b7. Well, in that case, when I was at chess club yesterday, the coach said you always trade this bishop, pretty much, unless there's like some really, really good reason to not take somebody's fianchetted bishop. If you can take someone's kingside fianchetted bishop, you probably should. You know? Yeah,
so the closest thing to a really good reason here is that this, as the side with the isolated pawn, we're trying to avoid trading down to an endgame.
Yeah, that's true.
But so that's going to be our practical decision to make here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it depends how far up the board we can push the pawn, I guess, because whilst the c6 bishop defends the pawn, like the g2 bishop also attacks the pawn. So if you just remove one defender and one attacker, I don't see that much of a difference that it makes. Maybe it does, but
Yeah. So it's hard to say. So here, so d5 was played in the game, and the next few positions we see are going to be on d5. I'm going to make a weird appeal for why I kind of like this move. So first of all,
takes.
this is an actual tactic.
Okay.
Does white have this intermezzo? Rook takes d6 with tempo on the queen. That's the question everyone was thinking about, I assume.
Does black have no, never mind. Yeah, I thought I don't think bishop e7 does work. No.
Yeah, everyone and their dog should want to play bishop e7, and if this was like a bullet or even blitz game, I probably would have played it by now, because how could you not? But
I
that
don't
will
think
just be a trade of queens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into a pawn down endgame.
I was wondering if well, I was looking at if bishop takes b2 works, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because
A rook
the
takes
king
queen.
can, yeah, I just was wondering if there was a thing, but there isn't a thing. I think white can play this.
Okay, so this is refuted by queen e7, because normally we don't think of like pinning like, so we don't think of queens pinning something to a queen because they're equal value. That's why we all wanted to play bishop e7, because the weaker pieces are stronger attackers. However, after king takes and bishop e5, where does the rook go that defends the queen, who is still an unprotected piece, right?
I don't like that.
Yeah, this is weird. It almost feels like it shouldn't be there. So the thing that I think, bishop c5 after queen e7. Oh, bishop c5, geez. Okay, but where is the rook's threat? Because if there's no threat with the rook, I can just pull off. So I see that if I played a move like bishop here, you can take with the discovery, and that's dope. But what is the rook's threat after, say, bishop h3? We need a discovery that like wins a piece for white or their piece down. And rook takes f6 doesn't work. So I like the idea of bishop c5. I'm just, where's the juice? I don't see it. Yeah, but this is a nice trap though, because if you do play a natural move, like I'll just retreat, you do blunder the piece. So that's a good practical try. Yeah, so here's the little tactical trick here is, this is really just tactics 101, and it's something that I, for the longest time, did not pay enough attention to because I was good enough at tactics to where I didn't have to verbalize it to myself. The fact that this queen is unprotected really, really matters. It means that we can think about using even our queen to pin something to the queen in a way that we couldn't if that queen was on a protected square. So we no longer need bishop e7 to exploit the diagonal, because we can at least ask the question, well, where are the rook's moves? And then it's pretty easy to see that it actually doesn't have those. And to make things better, because our queen is defended, we don't have to waste time taking first. We can take here, and if they throw in the intermezzo, it's defended. So really kind of seeing that not only is it this diagonal, but it's a diagonal where the queen is hanging, gives us a new option that wouldn't be there if the rook was free to move wherever. And I didn't see at first that the rook didn't have d4 or b6. I just saw that because the queen was hanging, there might be something there, and then notice. So that kind of order I think can be really useful, because if you don't make that step explicit, you just assume it's bishop e7 or bust. So that is why there's no refutation with rook takes d6. So rook takes d6 is refuted. But after king takes, I think the idea could be something like, even if I just play, trying to remember, like queen d7, we can use the same idea to say, look at that, I still have queen e7. And even if it's a pawn, I'm going to have some counterplay. Hey, Paul. And if they play queen takes, well, a nice thing is maybe, I'm not sure what the best move order is, but that b2 pawn is hanging. But the way that I'm viewing this position is not so much that I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good for black at all. But what I like is that my bishop, who is about to be blockaded when I play d5, is off the board. And my isolated pawn, who's going to be targeted the rest of the game when I play d5, is off the board. And so if I'm running the risk of going pawn down, I'd rather be pawn down in something where my best pieces remain and they have some activity. So for instance, I think Lula was giving a line where, let's say a random move is played, h6. And if they take here, then yes, they've snapped A and B, but look at that. This was what you were saying, I think, earlier.
Yeah.
We've gotten B back, we're threatening E, we're on the 7th. There's this line that's more open. And I'm not saying that I can evaluate this and know if it's better, equal, worse, or how much worse. But what I can say is that I'm really, really, really hesitant to play this move, because not only do I still have this isolated pawn, but I still have a problem piece, the worst piece on the board. And this idea of there being both a bad piece and a bad pawn with no obvious counterplay, unless I can figure out how to make this push happen that I liked Lula talking about, but it looks like this square is very well defended, then it kind of seems that I'd be a lot more open to taking the risk of going down a pawn with bishop takes and just opening up lines than quote unquote saving the pawn but having no activity or less activity. And that kind of judgment I think is super important, because I think a lot of people, Lula, might be like, well, I don't know how to calculate this. I just don't know. I just don't know how to evaluate this. Oh shit, I was supposed to be nice to you. I'm sorry. It's not in my nature.
I'm so attacked right now.
Yeah, but it's unclear. Don't worry. But so it's not like, okay, yeah, I'm not saying you always have to play like this and always take the risk for activity, but when the alternative is absolutely no activity, what I would do here is I'd work really hard to figure out how I'm creating counterplay. How am I opening lines up? And if I don't believe in moves like this to do it, then I'm going to be like, almost out of desperation, I'll do it, not because I think it's right or I think it's in character, but because I just don't want to play this for the next 3 hours. So now we can move a little quicker, but we can go through some of the positions from white that come up after d5 is played.
Okay. So do you want position 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
Which I think is going to be just this position after d5 is played. So maybe we could just flip it. Yeah. Cool.
So for black again, or?
We're going to be white now.
Okay,
I think we're going to be white for the rest of the time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So here, yeah. So d5 was just played. And now the question is, the question is, how should we play given that d5 pawn is weak and the bishop is passive? And this can be a quicker move, but the next few moves are going to be they're not only moves. Just by the way. They're not going to be the only moves, but like what we're trying to do is play patient chess against the weaknesses and not trying to work too hard. So the thing that I want everyone to focus on when they're thinking about what they would play here is the more they have to calculate, the more they're looking at concrete forcing lines, they should view that as a red flag that they're doing something they don't need to do. So the goal here is to improve your position without working hard.
Okay. So improve the position for white.
And I'm going to re-up my coffee. So if you ask any questions questions, I won't answer them, but that's probably better because my
sure.
answers have been mean.
Okay, chat, what's the answer? Whilst JJ's gone. Look, it's JJ's dog! Hold on, do you guys wanna hold on. Oh, look, a dog! Look! Hi! Oh, you guys are doing the chess? I'm looking at this dog. Hi! There we go. It's good enough. No, it's not. Blockade the pawn. E2 is weak, that's true.
Is everyone getting good Zoe view?
Yeah, I edited the thing so they could see her properly. Thank you.
Of course. I'm not sure where Flo is, but she'll show up.
Okay. So we were just talking about the first thing that I was wanting to look at was I was thinking before you said anything about calculating if we can just double the rooks, because even if there are any, like, I don't know, attacks, like the rook is always protected by the white queen, so it seems okay. I guess also we could move the queen, which is still like loose, or she's just kind of hanging out, and she could maybe attack the pawn as well. So hi Lauren. Well,
so you've already done more than enough work here, so what would you play?
Oh, would I play? Honestly, if this was Blitz game, I would probably do the wrong thing and play Rook C1.
Okay.
But maybe doubling.
So,
I mean, doubling in front of an IQP is usually not losing.
Those are the best two moves, by the way. And this is a fun position, so I think that it's important to have the confidence that neither of those moves can be bad, because Rook D2 allows the double, but Rook C1 has the added bonus of keeping an eye on what Black might be trying to do, which is sacrifice and get rid of their isolated pawn. And now we just have an extra pressure on C6 when we do that. Yay!
Oh, that's true.
And we also reserve the right after C1 to come and stack anyways. It takes an extra turn, but
that's
hey,
true.
But it's still there. So the big question that I was seeing is, after Rook D2, what about the move A5? And that makes sense, right?
That.
Concrete moves. Yeah.
Well, I guess nothing is attacking the rook right now.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the question of, if we can move the queen somewhere where it's not defending the rook, is the rook still gonna be okay? So yeah, I think we can just move the queen. I think it's fine. I just don't know where to move the queen.
Excellent. Okay.
There's a lot of squares.
So first question, I agree with that. So first question I would say is, I always try and separate my candidate moves like out by type in some way. So instead of it being there's like 20 legal queen moves. So let's start with, there's literally an offer of a queen trade, and then there's a bunch of moves that don't. So let's start breaking that down, because if we think the trade is favorable to us, then we don't have to calculate anything else.
Okay.
And so this seems like the critical move. Follow the principle, trade down. This also justifies Rook D2. Our last move says now the queen doesn't have to defend the pawn. So we can go for it. Yeah, it's me, Mr. Dodgy. This is true.
We should tell Mr. Dodgy someone said that.
I'm already here.
Oh, sorry. I meant your other personality.
Julia?
So if we trade queens, we...
Or if you offer the trade, by the way.
Okay,
the
yeah.
first question is, do they have to take?
I mean, they don't have to, but...
So
yeah,
define
otherwise it would be
candidate
rude.
moves.
Exactly.
It would be rude.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise it would be rude.
So keep in mind every turn when you look for candidate moves, the first things we'll want, I've probably called 3 different things the first thing by now. So one thing we want is moves that are thematic. So we know that black is looking for opportunities to rid themselves of the burden on d5. So my first candidate move after queen b6 is d4, interfering the bishop's defense of the queen.
Okay, so we would then probably have to trade queens.
So either trade queens or bishop takes pawn. Yeah, what about bishop takes pawn? This is the key line.
The only problem is it gives me the fear because our rook is unprotected.
And now we'd have to take with the queen, right?
Yeah. And then we lose
and
the
look
E2
who comes
pawn.
in. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is why that d4 push is the kind of counterplay black is looking for.
That's true.
And already, following, and sure, arguably we have better pawn structure. Well, inarguably a better pawn structure, but does that matter when they have a rook on the 7th? Who knows? But remember, the first thing we said was we had that stable advantage, right, in the initial position. So the fact that we had to work this hard is a good sign that we've gone down the wrong path. And that alone tells me that I don't need queen b6, and now I don't really care where the queen goes. Why not here? Because it's still stopping you from playing b6 for various reasons. If rook c8, maybe things can be different tactically, or I can find something else to do, IDK. I'm not terrible. It's not like this bishop has any good discoveries, so I'm not really afraid of anywhere the bishop goes, right? It's not like they're playing bishop takes g2 next. So I don't care about that. So the only issue with queen b3 is a4 comes with tempo, and then wherever you move, a3 exploits the pin.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And so again, thinking about that advanced pawn going to the line, I know these are really hard things to see, but we want to be practicing the question of, when I have this nice stable advantage, their pawn is weak, their bishop is stuck, we're trying to figure out how they can desperately play for more activity. So that's why trying to see, well, they have this nice open line. Oh, this exploits it. Or, well, they have some tactics here. Oh, this line is dangerous, is kind of just seeing, or, oh, if this rook was gone and this bishop moved, then the rook comes in here. These kind of abstract points, we don't know exactly how they get those things, but we're looking for candidate moves that will help them get there. And so in the game, I don't think we need to skip his positions, because I think it's just like only 1 or 2 moves at a time. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the game, after rook d2, I believe they did offer a trade of queens, which would have been fine to take, but I kind of liked my queen's placement. And after here, then the next move was stacking. Okay, cool. And this is an exciting position. So now we have 3 attackers on their pawn, and they only have 2 defenders. But instead of defending it, they play h6. And so here's the big point of the lesson in this game is, should we take the pawn?
Oh, well, if we take, we still hang e2, no?
Exactly. Yeah, so the biggest thing here is that we give the pawn right back. And not only do we give the pawn right back, but we've gotten rid of their weakest pawn on the board, and we've gotten rid of their worst piece.
Yeah.
So unless we see some sort of mating attack here, some sort of tactic, we can do a quick scan for hanging pieces. This is the kind of trade we don't want to make, because they got rid of both of their problems. Good. So now what should we play here? No hints.
Can we just play something like... Can we just play something like e3, and then there's still the threat of capturing?
So this is why everyone needs to remind Lula that her intuition for these sorts of things is really good. Because a lot of folks that I work with, like some adults I teach, including like one adult I showed this game to yesterday during our lesson with him, like he was really looking for active moves. He was looking for something like Queen B3 to add an attacker, or he was looking for something to make more threats. Two people I've shown this to already have said H4, and neither of them could say why. Um, and it's not like any of those moves are bad or they throw away the advantage or anything. But the way that Lula went about this is exactly right, which is, oh, the reason this doesn't win the pawn is they take back here. My candidate moves should be moves that add protection to this. Well, it's not going to be a bishop move because this piece already has a job. And the rook's already on it, so it's not like I need more pieces. After e3, I am now threatening to win the pawn. And I have done something that's very low risk because I still have a light square bishop, so these holes don't matter. And I've actually made it harder for them to get this break in, which we talked about earlier. And I'm still making the same threat. That's exactly how we should be playing. And so anybody who is trying to calculate that whole exchange on d5 and trying to figure out something at the end, that's just like a great way to waste time. When if we have that stable position, we should be able to have an easier time taking away their threats than they should ours. So really nice. And that's why here, after this move, I believe the move played was b6. And oh yeah, so someone wanted to know, what about after rook a d8? Well, rook a d8 does drop a pawn. And they still have the weak pawn and whatnot. Maybe they can try and come back in here. That's kind of interesting. But like, I don't know. I don't want to give up that pawn so easily. But so that's why I think b6 first makes a lot of sense. JJ is tilted, but not titled yet. JJ did not play chess for a long time and is still not an M. And so after bishop d4, because why play bishop d6 and open up the tactics? They played another nice move I really like of rook c8, saying rather than trying to add defenders, they're trying to keep the counterplay. So the first thing to see here is we have the same kind of problem. If takes, takes, and then if takes, takes, and takes. They are down a pawn. It's not like this is winning. We can always block. They can add a defender, but this is the sort of thing where they've still gotten rid of their bishop. They've still gotten rid of their pawn. They have a rook on the second. This is probably fine. That's the question, Lauren. But but still, it's like this looks kind of closer to one of those mini rook end games where the extra pawn, it's not like it's an outside pass pawn or something. Don't love it. So I think this is a really great way of trying to bait white into cashing in the advantages too early. So the question here I'm going to ask is, given that we're not taking on d5 next, let's evaluate the move bishop takes f6. Yeah. Notice that h6 was super useful for getting the rooks off the back rank to create counterplay. So that was a very good move.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So instead of bishop takes f6.
So I guess no. So bishop takes f6 is still a candidate move, but I'm asking to evaluate. Sorry, bishop takes f6 without the intention of taking next.
Okay.
Yeah, is that trade still good or bad for us? How do we know? How do we know things?
Well, that dark squared bishop has been black's best piece for a while, and our bishop, I mean, if we didn't trade, like, our dark squared bishop is like probably our worst piece.
Yeah, because same color as that pawn we put on e3, their b6 pawn's taking it. Yeah, it's centralized, but it's not doing anything.
We don't have many places it can go if we don't trade it. And so if we don't trade, they can trade. So it's going to get traded either way. And I guess the question is more, do we like their queen being on f6 after, and is there another move that we would prefer to play? because we aren't going to move the bishop somewhere it can't get traded, right?
Right.
So
well, let's go back to first principles. We're playing against the IQP.
so we want to trade.
Yeah, why not? I mean, sure, probably not forced, but simply enough, this was one of their good pieces. Now the only minor pieces on the board are an attacking bishop versus a bad bishop. And the idea here is between the pawn structure advantage and the minor piece advantage, clarifications are a good way to really highlight the disadvantages of the worst side. The less stuff there is on the board, the more sensitive you are to your one minor piece being bad, the more sensitive you are to the isolated pawn. So not a forced move again, but this is the kind of thing that I could see spending a lot of time on and kind of trying to stress why this could be an easy decision. And then here, we still don't want to take on d5 because we talked about rook c2. So let's find candidate moves given that rook c2 is their counterplay after takes.
Is it possible to then play something like queen b3 to cover c2?
Beautiful. We add an extra attacker to d5. Yeah, see, we don't even need to. I mean, I'm trying to not always say yes as soon as you get it, even for the first move, but just to say that, like, in a position like this, I like rook d4 too, and rook d4 actually is going to come up in a second. But I like this idea of just thinking, what was the specific thing that they were doing that annoyed me? It was rook c2. Now I have a chance to take back, rook takes, and there's no rook c2. So it's just responding to the specific annoyance that they're making and saying, can I keep the pressure here and do it? Yeah, and for the people who are watching this and being discouraged, like, part of the reason I wanted to share this game is it's very, very rare that I play like this and successfully play like this. And getting, fortunately, kind of, and not even deserved, a good position out of the opening helped a lot. But it's just really instructive, I think, to see how she's finding these moves pretty quickly by thinking about, well, they don't have any general advantages. Every move they're making is with one new specific aim. So do I have any developing, improving, attacking moves that also respond to that aim? If so, I don't need to think any harder because they still have these long-term weaknesses. And we should be playing this, and we should be playing this pretty quickly. And that is why after the queen moved to b3, as one does, this rook comes back here. Yeah. Cool. And now they've added a defender and are again kind of thinking about, there's some variations where either we take with the queen and b2 falls, or we take with the rook and they penetrate the back row. Yeah. Oh, and Luca points out too that with queen b3, d4 would be a good way to try and get rid of the pawn, except there's just no counterplay there. So that's why we're going to look at queen b3 here. Yeah. And then we're going to look at rook ed8, which is trying to make this a little bit more successful.
I don't really like the variation where the rook gets to the back rank, and I still don't like taking. So
good. Yeah, exactly. Looks hard. Shouldn't have to do it. It's not going anywhere. We don't need to do it, so we're not going to do it. What do you think about chat suggestion rook d4 that I've seen multiple times?
Rook d4. Yeah, they're fond of rook d4. Rook d4 does activate the rook. Like, it's a very active piece in the middle of the board there. And there isn't any real pressure on f2 that we need to worry about. The queen covers b2. There's no way to attack the rook on d4. And it completely removes the idea of ever pushing. So, seems good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Indeed, Bug points out very importantly that I kept
Yeah.
being like, well, can they get away with this? And so just
Yeah.
blockading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this activates one of our pieces along a file where it has a wonderful lateral mobility,
Mm-hmm.
and it has the uh, chance of blockading. And it's also consistent with our previous move of taking on f6, saying that now the reason you can't, nope, sorry, the reason you can't attack me on d4 is because you only have a light square bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gaining more space because we've taken away one of their pieces. And so here, I think when I see that this makes one of my pieces better / more centralized, and it makes one of their pieces worse, we can play it. And so, and again, the reason why this move still looked a little premature is that in this position, we have two ways to recapture. But if we take with the queen, they snap the pawn right back. And so we should keep in mind that that b2 weakness is one of the things we can look to solve next. But then if we play rook takes, I don't know if there's anything concrete here, but they have penetrated, they have got this pin, and
I
they've
don't
gotten
like
rid
it.
of their weak pawn. They've got, right, we're like, yeah, so the theme has been here. This is a position where it's like, I'm confident that we have a slight advantage still, but we don't have an isolated pawn to play against. They don't have a crappy bishop. Our king's a little exposed. This looks harder to play than the position where we still keep pressure, all the pressure on the pawn, but say, no, I'm not going to take it at your tempo. This is what you want. You want to be pawn down with counterplay. And I want you to have no counterplay and then win the pawn only when you still don't have counterplay.
Mm.
And so that's why after rook d4, move bishop a8, black saying I'm coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to come in. And the next few moves, okay, yeah. And so this is a neat one. So let's think about ways to kind of add more pressure to d5, given that we still don't want to take. Taking will be exactly like the last position. So what are alternatives?
Um,
Pass. I would
Everyone's saying
strongly, yeah, I
me.
think pass is actually a really good candidate move.
Pass. Um. Mm,
Yeah, if we could pass indefinitely and our opponent couldn't, we would probably win this game.
mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I thought bishop h3 just helped black to like double their or move. I don't know.
Mm.
They probably want to move the rook
But why are we taking
anyway.
pressure off the weakness?
Yeah. Um. I was wondering if there was a way that we could make it possible to play e4 with pressure on the d8 rook, but
Excellent.
I don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, because their d8 rook is already defended twice, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So do you want to give up on that idea or do you want to find a way to prepare it? Your call.
I guess we can play queen d3.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think this move
Yeah,
is neat
yeah, yeah.
because one thing we've done is, yeah,
Yeah,
now we're
go for it.
threatening to play
Yeah.
e4, winning the rook.
Mm-hmm.
And after what was played here, rook e8, yeah, so rook e8 is trying to say again,
Mm-hmm.
reminding you that takes, rook takes, the b2 pawn hangs. But by
Mm-hmm.
getting the queen out from in front of it, now we can just push b4, responding to
Mm-hmm.
what their counterplay was. So
Right.
we still have all the pressure, and they're coming in here. And after rook c7, trying to stack, here probably we could seriously look at taking because I'm not sure what their counterplay is. But I
Mm.
still didn't want to. So first I played queen b3, just with the idea of reconnecting the rooks now that it's
Uh-huh.
behind the pawn and getting back on
Yeah.
this diagonal. And now we get to the calculation part of the show. which Lula, you can sit this out if you want, because you already have a difficult job here. You're the stream manager, so we can make everyone else calculate.
Okay, I like that. Chat, calculate time.
All right, so after rook e8, the question is, do we take on d5? I mean, all of our pieces are activated. I don't know. And while they do that, we can just chat, Lula.
Okay. How are the hounds?
They're so sleepy. Zoe is between two pillows and balancing herself on them, and her butt is slightly off the ground.
Aww. Do you think Wilco will make an appearance?
Unlikely, because I'm upstairs and she does usually hang out in my office and play with my like chargers and stuff, whether I'm there or not. But I would love if she did. We'll go. That's the cat. Lula likes the cat, believe it or not.
I like the cat.
I like when all three of them sleep in bed together, though. Like the cat's gotten really accustomed to them. Slash has realized that they're completely harmless and that she could easily kill them if she wanted.
Dudebug said something interesting, which is that if we take black gets rook c3, which does look icky.
Yeah.
But we could, I guess we could take the queen and then rook c3 isn't as big of a deal.
Yeah, both rook c3 and hitting the queen and rook c2 hitting the f2 pawn, threatening mate, look like the things we have to calculate after bishop takes.
Yeah.
And then we have to go back and calculate bishop takes d5, bishop takes. But then I think Lula's right with bishop takes, queen takes looks good for us.
No,
but
I mean,
the question
taking
is,
with the queen afterwards,
right,
not first.
Right. So if they take back with their black bishop, then I think queen takes is great. So the question is going to be if instead of takes back, rook c3 or rook c2. These are going to be the things we have to calculate.
Oh, okay, instead of takes back.
Yeah, immediately after takes.
Oh, okay. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, well, they don't have to take. But I agree with you that because we have queen takes there, that looks like an awesome position for us.
Wait, can't we just, Yeah, it doesn't look pleasant, does it?
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about this. This would happen to me and I would be miserable. If we don't take, what do we do?
Oh, I like that way of thinking.
Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, what I'm struggling with is I'm not sure about a whole lot of ways to continue activating my pieces.
No.
Feels like, and I mean, I can play rook f4, but I don't know what the real concrete threat is.
Here I probably would take, because I would be like, okay, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at takes. So let's start with rook c3, which was not the move in the game.
Okay.
Nice hiker.
Hiker's thinking bishop takes f7 now.
Well, I don't know if they meant after rook c3 or rook c2, but it's definitely in the air here.
And that's because if takes with the queen, then you get rook d8. Is that possible?
Yeah, so the idea here is, we'll see if it works, but the idea would be to deflect the king from the queen. One problem though.
Yeah.
Oh no, is here.
Oh, this mate.
We get mated.
Oh no.
However, their rook is hanging.
So we just
and
the rook.
They come in here. And that looks scary. But we can just bail out and we're 2 pawns
up. Okay.
Calculation, right? Yeah, so bishop takes f7 would work, and then we would also have to double check here. Well, when you're up 2 pawns, you're pretty down to trade. And here I think you get the same point.
Heike said I definitely saw that.
And here, oh yeah, here this is the problem, is in this variation it won't work because of king takes. So we were looking at the variation where they just play king f8 instead. And then so that means we need something here.
That's true. What about oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Rook f4.
Yeah, I love the idea of rook f4 because immediately it looks like we're still just preserving things. And we're still going to be up. We had to double a pawn, but we're still up 2 pawns here with same colors. But maybe, I guess we don't even need to do that. We just come in here, right? Yeah. Because yeah, if they do this, then I guess we're only up 1 pawn, but we're simplifying. Things look good for us. But yeah. So I think that the big point here is if the king goes to f8, it's rook f4. And if the king goes to h8, then this move does work, because the refutation of this variation in the other line was king on f8 takes on f7.
And they don't have that here.
So we are able to bail out with simplifications after bishop takes f7. And in the game, instead of rook c3, they played rook c2, threatening mate in 2, which I totally saw immediately when they played that and did not spend several minutes calculating bishop takes at all. I'm not sure why you even brought that up. And here it ends up being that let's reevaluate the same idea as a bishop takes f7, because we want to start by trying to carry over the work we've already done in other variations. Does this move work? Oh, is there mate? Oh, the queen d1. Well, maybe there are better moves. I guess like when I saw something that put white piece down, that was enough for me as white to move on. So I totally believe you, dude bug, that there's an even better move for black, but I saw enough. I don't need to find 2 ways for them to refute me. It's their job, but I believe you. No. I'm glad you asked. I was just gonna say I'm not saying that there is an answer. Yeah. And that is like a common time mistake that I've seen people make, is like they haven't even refuted one idea for their opponent and they start evaluating a second, and it's like, why? If you already found one thing that they can do that you think wins for them, why are you wasting time? Good. People are talking about rook f4. Let's calculate rook f4.
Very snazzy. Yeah, it's very cool. How are you defending f7?
Yeah, there's only one reasonable response to rook f4, I believe.
Um, I thought it'd be moving the queen.
Nope. Any queen move
Really?
definitely hangs f7.
I know, but like, oh yeah, you can trade. Oh yeah, you can take on d5 because it attacks the queen.
Exactly. So rook f4 is losing, right? Or I guess not losing. It's not losing, but taking is losing. And
Yeah,
now,
taking is
yeah.
losing. For sure.
But if we come here, yeah, this could actually be a pretty solid position for us. They still have this pressure. We're still up a pawn. Yeah. But at the very least, we're no longer winning. So that means, so at the very least, what I'm thinking here is cool. I have rook f4 in my back pocket. It forces some trades. I still have pressure on f7. And so if I start getting really frustrated or lost in these variations, then I can just play rook f4. But if I don't start getting very frustrated or lost in this I can look for a way for more than just pawn up with things trading off. So this is a kind of like, it's good to know that you have rook f4 in your back pocket. But also because we see those simplifications, it kind of does feel like now or never. It's like we either get bishop takes f7 in now, or the bishop gets traded off and we're into more of a pure end game.
That's true.
So that's a good clue that this is a good time to invest some time. So let's go through the same variations of, let's start with queen takes f7 and see if rook d8 still works. So bishop takes queen takes rook d8. They have two options. They can either take the rook or they can move the king to h7. If they move the king to h7 immediately, we can take their queen on f7 because there's no back rank mate. If they play rook takes first and rook takes, and then king h7, we still can't play queen takes f7, even though it's a hanging queen, because rook c1 mates. So the question is going to be, after bishop takes queen takes f7, rook d8, rook takes, rook takes d8, king h7, do we have a winning move? If not, we had a winning move when the rook was on c3. Do we have a winning move when the rook was on c2? Yeah, Dudebug is almost there, but there's an even better move that accomplishes the same idea one turn faster.
Is the rook not just hanging?
It's hanging, yeah, exactly.
You
just a
take
simple
the rook with
visualization
check.
check. Yeah, just a simple visualization check. Queen takes f7 still loses, but when it was on c3, we took it, and when it's on c2, we take it with check. Now, of course, queen d3 achieves the same kind of goal. However, there's a problem with this move, which is after queen g6, we still don't have time for our little trick, winning the queen, because we still get mated.
Oh no!
So queen d3, queen g6, rook h8 looks like total puzzle rush, but not for us. But thankfully we can just take here. So that was the visualization thing that probably the third time I looked at bishop takes f7, queen takes rook d8 I saw, but definitely not the first. The first time I just thought I had queen f7. The second time I realized queen f7 got mated. And the third time I just saw the rook was hanging with check. So but this is, what's good here is we knew that this was a good time to start triple checking things. Sorry, after rook c2, because we know that after rook f4 and the trades, we've lost a lot of attacking power and we're closer to an endgame. So if I'm getting a sacrifice in on f7, if I'm getting pressure on the king, it's now or never. So I want to spend that time to calculate in a way that I might not have wanted to 5 moves ago. So it turns out that bishop takes will work if they play queen takes. So now we have to evaluate king here, and I guess king there. So pick one and start with it.
Okay, so if king f8,
which I like, by the way, the only move that keeps pressure on the bishop, so that seems like the most dangerous.
mm-hmm.
So we're looking at king f8.
And we still can't do all the trades because king takes f7.
Good.
At the end.
Mm-hmm.
So rook f4, right?
Mm-hmm. King f8, rook f4. Well, this is why Lula was so nice to organize a 90-30 game where we have 90 minutes plus 30 seconds increment each turn. So you actually get the time to really give a position like this the justice that it deserves, because I'm sure in a blitz game, I would have just taken earlier and said, fuck it, it's a pawn. It's not like I have the time to do all this.
What does he play after rook f4 though?
Hell if I know. It covers f2, it creates the discovery. I'd say my hunch is that because this was winning, even when their rook was on c3 hitting our queen, it's totally got to be winning when it's the same position, except they're not even making a threat. Yeah. Cool. And so the only thing we'd have to check is queen c6, which threatens mate, but there's an easy refutation. Maybe Lula will let me call this one a tactic.
Is it bishop d5?
Yes. Is that a tactic?
Yeah, that's a tactic.
Okay, that's okay, because it sure.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
a tactic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so their attempt for mate doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. So we can refute king f8 as well. And that means the only two moves we have to consider are these two. But already I'm not super vexed because they're not making threats on the bishop anymore. And if there's nothing else, there's rook f4, which covers the mate aggressively. It's not removing the defender. Good point.
It's not removing the defender, but it says discover check, winning the queen and stuff. It's really good. It's better.
But both removing the defender and discover check are themes. I know my audience. And so I'd probably at this point, I would play this move, not even having really looked at those two turns, because I know I just have rook f4. So I'll let them calculate and see where they go.
Okay.
And after here, all right, let's bring it home. The rook f4, we're up 2 pawns, great. But if there's a way to play for more clarity.
Okay.
Oh, actually, by the way, king h7 is even worse because dude bugs queen d3 is now a good move.
Yeah.
What do we play here that wins?
Can you not play bishop takes g6 and then rook d7?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a tactic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tactic.
And of course, they don't have to take here, but now they're just really running out of pawns and we're not running out of rooks.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so king h7, definitely worse than king h8. So let's look at king h8.
Wait, so we want to trade now?
Okay. How?
I wanted that to be something really fancy with queen takes c2, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I guess, can you just
probably
play
not.
rook d8 now?
Yeah, so rook d8, rook takes, queen takes, and then queen takes c2, right?
Yeah, and queen takes c2.
Exactly. We're up 2 pawns, so let's swap them off. Sometimes simplification is also a tactical theme. Because the only thing we'd have to check is to make sure they don't have queen d1 or queen d5.
Yeah.
And thankfully, luckily, we don't. And so now this position, we've gotten into an endgame, but we managed to use those tactics from taking on d5 when we did to get into an endgame up 2 pawns with like comfortable pieces rather than only up 1 pawn and our opponent has some counterplay. So the big point of the tactics wasn't to like win the game on the spot, but to manage to not give up the initiative. So here, I guess the way the game ended was, oh, I have moves up, so she probably remember. Bishop f3, yeah. So bishop f3 restricting us. And now here, let's keep on the theme of simplification.
I don't know how it's best to trade the pieces.
Which is the goal, right? Because same colored bishop endgames definitely favor the side with extra pawns because we're fighting over the same squares. Opposite color bishop endgames are the ones that can draw.
Would we go oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see bishop e6, queen c8. I was thinking about like just trying to trade the bishops.
Yeah,
That's a really good
yeah.
point.
Get off the big pieces. So seeing how with this is our pattern, this is the square we can go to. So this is our move. And I think black has to allow it to happen. So the way the game ended was, we got to try for activity. But then after check, there's more than one solution here. And I'm still mad at my opponent for not playing king g5 and letting me play h4. But it's still made here, just less classy. But I mean, it's not like this was a surprise that there was made here. It was kind of just, this was like a way of kind of acknowledging that like, I'd rather make you find the mate and maybe you make a terrible mistake than have to sit here for another half hour playing the end game down 2 pawns without queens. So the reason why I thought this game was really neat and worth going over, I don't think we'll have time for the other one. I don't have time for the other one, but this is probably plenty of chess, is because we got this really cool tactic that came after they played such a reasonable move looking for counterplay. But we did not get this tactic in this position by playing, the King's Gambit or like by playing very aggressively or ambitiously in the open. We really just managed to stumble into a position where they had this isolated pawn. So we pressure it, target it, corral it, don't take it before we think we have something. And they also had a bad bishop. So we kind of try to keep their bad bishop on the board. And we played so many moves that were simply following the principle of if my advantages are more long-term than their counterplay, then I should be able to keep finding decent moves, solidifying my position while restricting counterplay. And eventually what will happen is we can find a move like here where their counterplay gets refuted by a tactic and they don't actually have it. And the other nice thing about that, I don't have the clock times on here, unfortunately, but because it was a game 90, a lot of the moves, like I was stressing, we can play this quickly, right? It improves a piece and takes away a threat, or it takes away their threat but keeps ours. What was so nice is I must have spent 30 minutes, maybe longer, calculating bishop takes f7. I'd like to think I could get there faster, but whatever. The point is, when you are being able to play those moves quickly and you're not trying to waste all that time calculating, well, if I take the pawn now because it's a pawn, then you actually have the time to be like, all right, it's now or never. The bishops are about to come off the board after rook f4, bishop takes d5. So if I'm going to use this tactic, it's going to be now. And because I've saved so much time by playing these quick moves that are good enough without trying to force things. And I found this now or never moment where it really looks like at least some of the main variations work. I can really go into the tank here. Whereas if I had spent an extra 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, calculating takes d5 every turn, I would probably have to rule this move out after the second time I looked at it. And I saw this variation. That would probably be enough to move on if I didn't have a lot of time. And the other thing that I thought was neat is the way the tactic works is it was 90 minutes aside with 30-second increment. The way the tactics work is that this worked because the queen was on the b3 square. It was eyeing here, but it was also eyeing d5 and also had this vague idea of f7. And the rook on d4 was blockading the d pawn, but it also had this vague idea of f4, which came up in some lines. And the rooks were coordinated with vague ideas of back rank mate. So what we're seeing is all of our piece placement, stacking the rooks, using the fourth rank, coordinating on f7, eyeing the back rank. All of those themes came up in the tactic, not because we were playing for tactics or even talking about those themes, but because we were just finding good lines for our pieces when and if the game opened up. And lo and behold, we have more tactical opportunities than we would if any of those pieces weren't on those lines. It's pretty rare that things work out this well, but that's how I thought like made it a really nice model game, is because we get to play very logical, strong positional chess like Lula, and then we get to play like this at the end. And then when Lula's like, I hate tactics, we can be like, there's no excuse. You can play like this and still get them. In fact, you should get them. So, and you did see the ideas there too. So you can't even pretend like you didn't.
It's true.
So yeah, I'm very tired from that, but it was also really fun, and I'm really appreciative for everyone who's interacting with us and taking some of the pressure off our lovely host.
Thank you so much for talking through this game. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sure chat enjoyed. Chat, can you have claps for JJ, please? Claps.
I'm gonna plug my shit one more time.
Yeah, and also you should click that link, that bit.ly link there, and then you should get lessons with JJ. Just saying.
Yeah, meet up and
be lesson buddies, but except not in the same lesson. Reply.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to me. My Twitter is at ChessFeels, and I'm always logged on. So this was, and thank you again for organizing the tournament. It was really nice to have a reason to play something other than just 3-0.
Thank you for playing in the tournament. It was really, really nice to have like all rating levels in the tournament. So it's been it's been very cool.
I actually haven't been keeping up with the standings. Is Michael winning our group? Did he 5-0 it, or did he beat Gokul?
He hasn't played Gokul yet because it was the week that Gokul was moving. So I think they're playing in week 6. So we won't know. Cool. We won't know who's the winner of each section, I don't think, until like the end. Cool. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think.
Well, that'll be a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. I wonder if they'll play it like in normal time so we can watch it on stream. If they'll play it at night. Gokul can't be beaten, not even by Michael.
I drew him. I drew Gokul.
Yeah,
that was a crazy game. I would have shown that game, except it doesn't make any sense.
Is Gokul undefeated? So
Michael beat me in Gokul, and I drew.
Thank you so much for the 3 gifted subs, Slice CC. Thank you so much. Thank you. Not bragging, Lauren. You're undefeated, but you joined like 3 rounds late. I'm just teasing you. I'm sorry. Thank you for the gift subs, JJ. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate this.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Want to tell chat that Slickworks. Oh, my bad. JJ also streams chess, just not super often, but you should still go and follow him over at twitch.tv/ChessFeels.
Yeah,
So
I do that
if you
sometimes.
like JJ's the way he explains things, you should check him out over there, and also lessons. There's a link as well. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Do you have lessons?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My day has just begun. But I'll probably show at least 2 of the people this game because, I already have the lesson prepared now.
It's a good idea. Will
Yeah,
you play
exactly.
Vegas? That's a question from chat.
That is most likely actually.
Oh really?
The one in June. So there's like one in June and one in December, and one's called the National Open and one's called the North American Open.
Oh
The
really?
one in
I
I,
thought
I
they were
think I'm
the
gonna play the
same.
one I mean, I think they are, but June and I don't know.
June. Are
But
you gonna play the
so
June one?
I think I'm gonna be there. Yeah. I stumbled into a gig doing this like day camp they have for like some of the kids or like some of the more like adult improver types that starts like the day before the tournament starts. And what happened last year was they were needed an extra instructor because the demand was high, and we're like, we can cover your hotel room for the time that you're playing if you teach this one day. And I was like, sold. And it went really
so
well,
good.
and I had a great time, and I think people liked it. So I think we're going to be doing that again. And if that happens and I don't even have to work out paying for hotel, I'll certainly play. And even if not, I'll probably play because flights to Vegas are cheaper from Nebraska than flights to almost anywhere else most of the time. Just because flights to Vegas are always cheap. And it's a really fun tournament. And I liked it last year. They had these like beginner sections for mostly unrated players, and they were 1-day events, and there were 3 of them, and there were like 200 or 300 people who played them.
Wow.
And it was really lovely seeing that many people play like their first or second tournament. And like they were like a lot of locals there, and a lot of the people who were there just seemed cool. Like there were a lot of weirdos and freaks and not just like stuffy old men. And it was just like really rad seeing this like new generation of chess players that looked like people I wanted to take shots with, and did.
Alia EJ was asking, he works that event. He's like works
cool.
organizing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know how US chess works, to be honest, but yeah.
Same. Yeah,
So,
I don't.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll be going. It's a bit far for me.
Glenn Panner is a good friend of mine, and I know he works that event. So, because I used to live in Chicago, so I'll make sure that Glenn will have him point you out to me.
Oh, yeah, there's JJ's Tara thing. JJ might not want to see the answer to the Tara though. For the will JJ get a title? He might not want to see the answer. He might prefer not to see it.
I want to know.
Oh, you want to know? The Olympiad is not as far as Vegas, right? India's not as far as Vegas, right? Right? Two people have said that you're KSI. I don't know who. Like, I know KSI is like a streamer. I don't know. I don't get the joke. I don't get the reference. I don't.
When I had more hair, people told me I looked like Woody Allen, but I'm glad I don't get that anymore. But I don't know who KSI is.
I don't know who I don't get it.
Well,
JJ looks nothing like I don't know KSI.
The first person who came up for KSI looks pretty cool, but does not look like me.
I don't. No, I don't. I think he's like a YouTuber or something. Okay, let's do JJ's thing. His name is JJ. Oh, his name is JJ.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, so his name is JJ. Okay, I get it.
That makes, yeah.
Okay. KSI's knowledge, strength, integrity. That's like live, laugh, love, but for men, let's be honest.
I'm 0 for 3 there. No, I have integrity. I'm 1 for 3.
Yeah. Well, you have knowledge and strength for chess. I don't know about other things. I don't think we've talked about that many other things apart from chess.
The worst part about my knowledge and strength for other things is that they're even worse than my knowledge and strength for chess.
I don't believe you. Well, actually, you're very good at chess, so I do believe you.
Not when it comes to knowledge or strength. Swindling, scrambling in pieces, those are good.
Okay, let's do... Okay. Lauren's got this thing where she always gets a reversed card.
Oh, cool.
She's very upset about it. We have a command
Yeah.
about it.
I'll take a reverse title. That's fine.
Okay, right. JJ's card is... What is this? What's the triangle? It is the... Okay. It's upright. It's the 10 of Swords upright.
Okay.
Like this cat, JJ. Look.
Oh, beautiful.
This is your cat. It has
Gorgeous.
Wilco energy, actually.
Yeah.
Like climbing up the wall. Okay, so is that a yes or a no? I don't know. I have to Google it. Oh dear. Let's pull a new card.
No, I want to. No.
Hi, Goat versus Fish. How you doing?
I'm motivated by the haters. So if the cards are against me, that only will make me work harder.
This is like the worst card I've ever drawn, apart from like the tower, maybe.
Sick. I've gotten the tower a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the number 10 on this suit, it's like basically usually the card is like someone having like swords on their back. It's usually about being backstabbed or like experiencing betrayal.
Sick. That's how I feel about my repertoire. It has betrayed me. So that's probably what this is about.
That's because you played the London.
No, that was my attempt to get over it.
I understand.
That was my attempt. That was my attempt to get out of my E4 betraying me.
Yeah, well, E4, you know.
This was a C4 game, and it went well.
I know, yeah. So this card says heed its warning. It could be an indication that someone is not what they seem. It's a no. It's a no for questions. But maybe I guess the implication is that there would be a third party influence on the no.
Oh, it's because my teacher Gopal has been showing me stuff. That's why I'm not going to get a title.
Yeah, it's Gopal's fault. It's Gopal's fault. It's all Gopal's fault.
Ah, okay. Well, cool. We'll definitely have to like make a VOD of this, and in 7,000 years when I get a title, I'll like be like, yo, astrology disproven by one chess player.
JJ, what are you drinking? That was the last question we have for you today.
It's iced coffee.
Beautiful.
And that's like almost always the answer until like 8 o'clock, and then it's beer or whiskey. Or 4 o'clock.
What milk do you have with your coffee?
You do very well in the Midwest with questions like that, my friend. It's black.
Okay. Imagine having coffee with oat milk. I agree, Lauren. I agree. Lula beats JJ to prevent his last norm.
I'd rather you than most people.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Oh
that.
yeah, I'm Midwest gang. I'm in Nebraska. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. Oh no, just like no sugar, no nothing.
Just black coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I would do fish milk for sure.
Fish milk.
Well, not goat milk, but.
I'm sorry about all the weird questions.
It's cool. I've interacted with men before. All right,
milk.
on that.
You're gonna head off. I understand.
All right, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
This was a
JJ.
lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Say bye.
All right.
Chat, say bye. Say thank you. Ooh, okay, he left. Okay. Milky fish would be difficult. That's true. JJ's gone. I know JJ's gone. That was. Did you guys like the lesson? What did you think of the lesson from JJ? I didn't know we were gonna get such a full-on lesson. I thought that he was just gonna be going through the game, but like that was like a full-on lesson. I feel like we should have paid him. So someone should go get lessons with JJ, right? I don't have an eyeglasses prescription. This is just a channel point redeem. Like, I could, like, it doesn't matter. You like the 1 minute that you were here for, Johnny? Well, you can watch the VOD. Actually, no, I might have to unpublish the VOD because I revealed my middle name earlier. You missed the start because the stream was still on mute. Call took longer than expected. Maybe I can make a highlight I can make a highlight of this part of the stream and then put it on my page where it's just the lesson part so that you guys can watch it. I can crop just the lesson so that you guys can watch it if you missed it.